body is getting lighter and lighter. Long, steady breaths. All the lataif, all the spiritual centers are energized. And the body is getting lighter and lighter as you breathe. Imagine now the body starts to disintegrate. Disappears, starting with the feet, the legs. Imagine all of the bodies disappearing. The torso's gone now. Your arms, your hands, your head, all your body has now disappeared. Just your spiritual centers, your breath, and your spirit remain. Still focus on your breathing. Just let go of all your spiritual centers. One by one, they all disappear. Starting with the red, gone. Orange, yellow, green disappeared. Light blue, dark blue, white, all your major and minor, all the spiritual centers that disappeared. Just your breath and spirit remain. Focus now. Create your spiritual body with the imagination. Imagine in front of you is a mirror copy of yourself. Even if it's just a spiritual outline, that will do. This is your vehicle of travel in the spiritual world. Focus on the breathing. Imagine your spiritual body in front of you. And blow your spirit into your spiritual body by taking what we call the golden breath. In your own time, the next few breaths, blow out your spirit into your spiritual body. Imagine now that you are in your spiritual body. As you refresh and correct your intentions, and think about the sacrifice of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You come into the presence of your teacher by thinking of them, but they are your spiritual guide, your key, your access to the light of light within the spiritual world. Connect with them, think about them. Take them by the hand as they take you into the presence of the Grand Master Sayyidina Abdul Aziz the Baghri Mullah in Morocco, Fez. Immediately, the teacher of our teacher, Sayyidina Abdul Aziz the Baghri Mullah, asks you to reflect on the sacrifice of your teacher for your sake, for the sake of Allah. For your sake, for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For they are your most closest physical example of sacrifice for Allah's sake. How they sacrifice themselves so you may attain Allah Azza wa Jal. They ask us to reflect on this as we travel the journey with our intentions towards Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam at the time of his sacrifice of Prophet Ismail alayhi salam. So as you travel the journey, start by remembering the sacrifice of your parents, and particularly your mother. Remember and reflect on the sacrifice as you spiritually travel towards the pinnacle of sacrifice, the sacrifice of your teacher, Shaykh Ahmad the Baghri Mullah, for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sake. As you travel towards the pinnacle of sacrifice, remember the sacrifice of the friends of Allah Azza wa Jal. Understand the stories. For each story of the awliya, the mashaykhs, is a story of sacrifice for Allah's sake. Story of sacrifice for Allah's sake. As you travel to the pinnacle of sacrifice, understand the sacrifice of the prophets. As you travel towards the pinnacle of sacrifice, know the pinnacle is the sacrifice and the coming sacrifices of the Prophet, Sayyidi, our Master Sayyidina Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. For his sacrifice for Allah's sake, for our sake, and he will do so even on the Day of Judgment. Reflect as you travel towards the pinnacle of sacrifice of the coming month of Dhul Hijjah. With that, we're given permission to continue our journey. Every one of you now travel on your own journey. Think of the words of Sayyidina Abdul Aziz Mahagrimullah as we reflect on what is it we will sacrifice, as the Mashayikhs are now drawing us, even the light from Medina Sharif is drawing us, directing us to travel towards and to the time of Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam, as he is preparing to sacrifice his son, Prophet Ismail alayhi salam. We'll go silent now and let you all travel on your own journey. Then when we return, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us some tawfiq to follow the guidance we receive. Stay silent, everybody, travel their own journey now. So wherever you are now, respectfully start to recite the Durood, listen to the Durood, and slowly come back to your bodies, and then reflect on the major aspects and guidance and advice of your spiritual journey tonight, and be prepared to share with the rest of the world, inshallah.
يا نبي السلام عليك يا رسول سلام عليك يا حبيب سلام عليك صلوات الله عليك يا نبي سلام عليك يا رسول سلام عليك يا حبيب سلام عليك صلوات الله عليك طلع البدر علينا من ثنية الوداع وجب الشكر علينا ما دعا لله داعي يا نبي سلام عليك رسول سلام عليك يا حبيب سلام عليك صلوات الله तेरी आरज़ू में मरना तेरी जोस्तजू में जीना यही मेरी जिंदगी है यही मेरी बंदगी है या नबी सलाम अलैका या रसूल सलाम अलैका या हबीब सलाम अलैका सलावतुल्लाहि अलैक
So slowly, if you haven't done so, just open your eyes now. Inshallah, we pass over to the host shortly, but just reflect on the guidance and the nasiyah that has been received. And we'll encourage each and every one of you to share. So sharing guidance benefits yourself and others, and also increases you in blessing for not keeping the jewels just to yourself. And if there are any brothers or sisters who had difficulty or are having difficulty, this is also an opportunity to ask. You can raise your hands, and the brothers, sisters who are manning the background, they can unmute you, and you can ask. You have the facility of the question and answers, where you can give your feedback on from the Ascension, and any general comments, if there are, you can make them in the chat group. Jazakallah khair. I'll pass to Brother Tasifa, host is here. Alhamdulillah.
Jazakallah khair, Ustad. Inshallah, I think some of you have shared in the Q&A already in writing, but if we could encourage someone to raise their hand, we can also facilitate a verbal feedback, inshallah. Otherwise, inshallah, I'll begin to read. Sister Saika has mentioned her feedback. I transferred and I saw a flash of elephants in Makkah Sharif and little birds carrying stones. Then I was in Maqam Ibrahim, and Sayyidina Sheikh Ahmed Dabak said that what Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam was asked to do was more than sacrifice their son. They were asked to sacrifice their ego, nafs, intellect, and everything that they knew. And sometimes we have to make these sacrifices in order to succeed. We have to give ourselves up. They say that there are many obstacles on the path to Allah, but these obstacles are here to train us, test us and teach us to be better. The only time your obstacle defeats you is when you give up. So don't give up. Then I saw a lion, and Sayyidina Sheikh Ahmed Dabag Hafidhullah said, be like a lion. Remember that every relationship in dunya will cause you pain other than the relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So do things for the pleasure of Allah and never to please people. Then I saw the birds again, and they were in flight. I focused and I could see elephants charging, I believe, towards the Kaaba. Jazakumullah.
Start to see for that, reading that kindly. Inshallah, alhamdulillah, Allah knows best. And the sisters, most of that is very self-explanatory, and there are matters in there which are pertaining to your own personal life and certain things that you may be going through. And the first flashes that you see is reminding you of the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can come from anywhere. So that incident and of the great-grandfather of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he stood up and his camels were taken, and his reliance was completely on the owner of the Kaaba, the Lord of the Kaaba. So that level of faith and belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whatever circumstances that you are going through, so the help comes from the most unexpected ways. There may be charging elephants in front of you. The obstacles may feel like mountains. But when you have your trust and reliance on Allah Azza wa Jal, help will come from ways that you don't expect. So that's like a glad tiding for you. If you continue on trying, help is about to come for you very soon, inshallah. But don't do it for the help. You just do it for Allah's sake. If Allah, you are happy with me, whatever state, I will stay firm. I will sacrifice for your sake. I will stay firm and I'll sacrifice for your sake. And whatever you do, whether it be for relatives or people, or you do it for Allah's sake. If you do it for people and you do things to please people or in the sight of people, you will forever and always be in hurt, and with that comes loss. But whatever you do, if you perceive it as loss or hurt, of course there's going to be pain. Of course there's going to be that anguish of separation, because those are parts of the heart, body, mind, and soul that we're tested with. And this is why that test was big for Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam and for his son, Prophet Ismail alayhi salam. And that was a big sacrifice in regards to emotions and pain. And but it was done for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The trust was for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And those who are on the path of Tareeqah Muhammadiyah, you are making that pledge. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I want to draw closer to you. So don't be surprised if you are tested with the things that you love, for that is a realization, it's a self-realization where your weaknesses are and where you will be tested for. When you pass that test and you prefer Allah's commands and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ over what the love of this world, whether it be money, fame, name, family even, and you put Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first, or you change those intentions for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sake, that's where you draw closer. That drawing closer is always an accelerated drawing, and that will manifest itself in the next world. And those who are on this path, they can benefit from it in this world, but ultimately we are going to leave this world. So wherever test we're going, if they are drawing us closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is blessing upon blessing, inshallah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us all to pass these tests of this world and draw forever closer and closer, inshallah. Jazakallah Batasi.
The next one has been shared. So Brother Muhammad Ibrahim has mentioned he would like to share verbally. So if Brother could check if his mic is working, inshallah, you can go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Am I able to share a past experience?
It'd be better to do today's any past ones. You can always share with your mentor and or the groups, but please kindly share if you have from today, if yourself doesn't mind.
Yeah, that's all. Well, I don't vaguely have an experience, but I can share with you what I have so far. So, I'm doing the process of the Lataifs, and obviously, as you mentioned yourself, take the golden breath, etc. From there, I have seen a white light, not necessarily a new light, but like a very cold white. That light it just keeps on coming and coming and coming closer and closer to me. And there I see the Kaaba. But because I'm so mesmerized, I had came out of my spiritual self and I had ended up coming back to my physical body, and that's all I have for today. Jazakallah.
No, stay with us. Is it Muhammad Ibrahim? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tareeqah, inshallah. Have you been to a few retreats or just the one?
I did go to the February one just previously, and that was my first ever one because obviously I joined the Tareeqah just this year, end of January, and I'm 15 years old.
15 years, okay, mashallah. So you sound much older and more mature as well, mashallah. No, thank you for coming, and thank you for sharing that experience. You see, my young brother, what you're experiencing, and I'll try my best for you, is when you saw that light, how did you feel? What was your emotion?
Well, normally when I'm trying to travel, I always tend to see a nur light. With this light, it didn't feel as like, you know, when you hear something like a warm light and a cold light. This one was necessarily a cold one, so it didn't feel as comforting and right. It just felt very negative. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, that's fine. We encourage you not to lie. So you just
sorry, I say that a lot. I say that quite a lot.
No, that's fine. That's what I'm asking. I want to know what you experienced, what you felt. So sometimes when you transfer, you feel like it's a warm light. This time,
it's like a new type of light that just mesmerizes me. But this one, it mesmerized me, but it mesmerized me in the wrong way, which I didn't quite like. Which is why I think I came back to my physical body.
Okay. When you say mesmerized you in the wrong way, what do you mean?
Like, obviously, as I said, I see a nur kind of light that just overwhelms me, and I just like the experience to go on. But with this one, I feel like I'm not quite sure what it is, but I feel like I've seen it. I was still mesmerized, but it just gave me a negative mindset, which therefore made me come back.
Okay, that's fine. So I'm going to give you a couple of things to do now, yeah? Inshallah. Have you started the path to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? You have a mentor in place?
Yeah, I have a mentor. In the
Okay,
house.
when's the last time you spoke to your mentor?
Just a week ago or so.
Okay, mashallah. So you're regular contact and you started the path for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. So what to do now, yeah? Just to make this first thing is not to judge whether something is positive or negative yourself. This is what the feedback is for, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so even though sometimes you may think something is negative, it could potentially not be. Sometimes when you think something is positive, it could not be. So sometimes what happens is when you start the path to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and particularly the ascension, and you're coming inshallah at a very young age, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep you pure and protected. You see, what you're feeling and experiencing is the light and the presence of your teacher, Shaykh the Bagh spirit. Okay?
Yeah.
Allah knows best, yeah? Now,
Yeah.
at the beginning, there's like a motivation for you to, is warm, comforting, drawing. Then it's telling you now, the light is telling you to be serious and focused on your path. Don't be just looking for good feelings, yeah? And so this is a way for you now to potentially accelerate. Now, the way you can accelerate here is understand the path to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala further and deeper. And I think you will be able to with your mentor and ask them and learn, practice the stage that you're doing and try to understand what the next stages are. Okay, whether it's the body, mind, or heart, wherever you are at. And then when you're practicing your personal zikr and your muraqabah and the ascension, start to come into the presence of your teacher, Shaykh the Bagh, and just think of them. Okay, and when you think of them, yeah, understand that these teachings are coming from them, and then you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in your muraqabah or whatever to draw you closer to the teachings of your teacher. You may follow their footsteps, in turn draw closer to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So you have that mindset, inshallah, and then whatever happens, don't worry, good or bad. Make a note of it. Start a diary now. Once you start a diary, particularly the initial stages, you'll be able to accelerate through some of these difficulties. Now, speak to your mentor. If your mentor is assigned to help you with the outward path, he will be able to help you with your experiences by linking you with somebody, or you can ask on your behalf of somebody who's has permission to explain some of the spiritual aspects of it.
Yeah, I do have someone.
Alhamdulillah. So make sure you are keeping a diary and sharing that with them, particularly when it comes to matters of what is good or bad. You need to put that aside and say, look, I don't know what is good or bad. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows, and whoever's been given permission in regards to your mentorship, yeah, leave it for them to guide you further. Okay? And if ever you get into in your spiritual journey, something disturbs you, worries you, you feel is negative, yeah, there you start to think about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your teacher's presence, just recite Durood in your heart. Okay? And just stay calm, yeah, and just let the experience, you heard the concept of let it flow. Okay, as long as you're keeping to the safety net of your teacher with Durood in your heart, presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you don't need to worry too much. Okay, then write it down, keep a diary, report it to your qualified mentor, inshallah. Is that clear, Muhammad Ibrahim?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, do that. I think inshallah these matters will become much clearer and quicker and faster for you as well.
Inshallah.
So don't worry, it's not a race, yeah? It's not a race. It's and don't get anxious. Keep this whole path here will also help you to develop what they call a positive mindset as well. So just stick to it, and inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make you somebody through your hands, others, many others can benefit, particularly the youth. Yeah, and I really congratulate you for coming forward and speaking up.
Jazakallah.
Shukriya.
Jazakallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Alhamdulillah, our next experience is shared anonymously, and the participant is mentioning first giving their salam and then saying, I wish to remain anonymous and apologize if this is undesirable. I proceeded with cleansing the lata'if. I saw the blessed teacher, and en route I saw the fairs of our blessed grandmaster Sayyidina Sheikh Abdul Aziz Ad-Dabbagh rahimahullah. I looked to the floor and saw brown soil. It was moist and very soft. Our blessed teacher Sayyidina Sheikh Ahmed Dabbagh hafidhahullah was doing sujood on this soil. This then changes where I vaguely saw Sayyida Hajra alayhi salam dressed in black and a beautiful face, which I could see part of. I thought she asked me to, here's it in perceiver, I'm not sure what it was referring to. She said, you also have done sacrifices, but in a different way to me. So I kept crying. I saw the Prophet Sayyidina Ismail as a baby, alayhi salam, and the Zamzam water, but then the scene changed to rain on me and I cried even harder. This then changed to me meeting Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam. Again, the message I felt was patience. I cried again. I helped to put a brick to continue building the old Kaaba. The blessed teacher asked me to read 2 nawafil by the old Kaaba, and I cried against it. And I cried so much, and I asked permission to leave. I then saw Sayyida Fatima radiallahu anha wa alayhi salam in white, and she waves at me, and I was near her. She hugged me and I cried again. I then saw Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam in white and by the river of Kawthar. He sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam said, first drink this water. I then asked permission from the teacher to leave. And that's the end of the experience.
Jazakallah khair for that. Yeah, that's no problem. Mostly it's not about my desires or anybody else's, whether you remain anonymous. It's just what's been requested from our ustads and teachers, inshallah. Just to mention, but that's fine. Everybody has a reason, so don't worry too much. But thank you for sharing the very vivid and deep experience. Now, this is in one sense here, it brought back memories when we've been on Umrah or Hajj with our blessed teacher, Shaykh Ahmed Dabbagh, rahimullah. Particularly when you're doing the Safa from Safa to Marwa, and the teacher saying, so at this stage, people really, when they're doing this, they really shouldn't be worried, particularly the sisters of Islam, the mothers of the Ummah. When they're doing this, and those who are connected and understand this, the physical, spiritual aspect, and reflect on the sacrifice and what Sayyidina Hajra, what she was going through, all the mothers of the Ummah would be in tears. You wouldn't be worried about who cut you, who pushed you, the anguish. All the mothers who can feel that pain, that sacrifice, and that reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala beautifies that person. While you're seeing that beautiful face, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala beautifies them and brings them more nur into that person who can sacrifice for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sake. Now, sister, in this aspect of you're really going through the rituals of that and really connecting with it. And this is one of the beautiful experiences and teachings of our teacher Shaykh Ahmad Dabag, where they have opened this access. So yes, most of us cannot go to Hajj, are locked down because of the pandemic. This is a great revival opportunity to connect, like we're going to be doing in a couple of weekends, on understanding the spiritual, the deeper meanings of our Hajjs, and then experiencing that, understanding it, emotionally traveling it, doing it spiritually. So when you are blessed to do it, the fard or the physical of it, it will be like no other changing point in your life, and no other emotional, spiritual Hajj. So from this year, there are certain things that you are going through. You will understand better through this experience, and it's giving you comfort. It's giving you solace in this, and focusing you to follow in the footsteps of these these blessed ladies of Islam, are the giants, your role models. Make them your role models. Understand how they sacrificed, understand how they went through their tests, and then understand how beautiful the blessings are when you traverse through these tests in this very, very temporal world. Also, I'll encourage you to make time, if you haven't done so, for that weekend's retreat. This foundation will really help you to benefit from that weekend immensely, inshallah. Jazakallah khair.
I think we have two more that have been submitted in writing, but there's Brother Hamid who's ready to share verbally as well. Yes, brother, you can go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Walaikum assalam.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Inshallah, can I share my experience for today?
Ji, please, inshallah.
Okay. So I actually started the cleansing process a little bit late. I had to come back from work. So upon transfer, I found myself this time. Sorry, I transferred in my own body, as in I made a figure of myself in front of me, and I transferred. Usually, it is I transfer into the body of our teacher, Sheikh Ahmad Dabba. So I found myself in Zawiya in Bolton, and there were other brothers around us, and our teacher, they appeared from a corner, and we were standing parallel to them, all the brothers. They were illuminating a lot, and the nur was coming out of them, and it was like striking me, and I couldn't handle it. But alhamdulillah, we walked over to them, we met with them, we kissed their hands, and it was as if there was like an energy that I felt even physically as soon as this happened. And then this place where we were, it turned into Haram Sharif near the Kaaba, but it was olden times. So we could see like mountains, small hills and mountains and sand around us. And the Kaaba Sharif was made out of bricks, the walls. Maqam Ibrahim was near it as well. And we, all the brothers and the teacher, we were dressed in ihram and with the two cloths, and we started doing the tawaf of the Kaaba. And after that, we found ourselves near Maqam Ibrahimi, praying 2 nawafil, and the teacher was with us all this time. They were leading us, and then the teacher, they turned around, and they said to everyone that making this place required one main thing. This is in my words. Making this place required one main thing, that was sacrifice. Just like that, the purification, tazkiyah, it also requires one main thing, which is sacrifice. Then we were told there were some other more blessed nasiha given, which I cannot recall just yet. We were then told to get ready as the blessed company and group of prophets and messengers, and the friends of Allah is arriving, and in no time from our left, the group, a very large group with like a whole ummah behind them of leaders, prophets, messengers, including Sayyidina Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam and Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam and other blessed and favorable messengers and prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They were leading, and they came in on horses with flags, and so there was nur emanating from everyone, from all the blessed individuals and all the blessed prophets that came. They get off their horses, and all the brothers and our teacher and whoever the the participants that were there, they all met with the mashayikh and other friends of Allah and Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. From what I can recall, I met a couple of other mashayikh one by one. I shook their hand and then I met with Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. I noticed they were tall, and they were wearing simple clothes, and they came and they kneeled over and hugged me. I found myself at that time to be in a body of a baby, and then after this meeting with this blessed personality and the Prophet, after this we met with Prophet Sayyidina, our master Sayyidina Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and everyone met. And then this scene changed after a short while, and it was really dark. It was though it was night time. We were still in the Haramain Sharif, but everyone slowly started disappearing, and I found myself in a room nearby with our teacher. And the teacher, they spoke to me and said, this is the dark hour. It can be of two: the time of committing sin or the time of death. Further on, they mentioned that fear, it does not come together. I asked them for forgiveness, and I apologized for all the hedonist times, and to which they stayed silent. Then when we were in that room, I asked them for anything, and they replied, think of me and I will be with you. This is such a blessing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given. It is though that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is communicating to you through me. Also, always stay spiritually connected to me. And then I went to sleep in that room, which had two beds, a traditional way, like also called charpai. And upon in the middle of the night, we wake up and it was time to come back. And I asked for my leave, and I packed. I had some luggage and bags with me, and they blessed me. When I kissed their hand, it was as though there was light that was inside my arm, And when I was coming back, that nur and light was embedding and settling inside my whole body. And then we arrived back. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yeah, Brother Hamid, thank you for giving us feedback on your detailed and very clear experience. So inshallah, you should understand most of it because you personally experienced it and some of the deeper aspects of that as well. The help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I'll try and make some comments on this, if I may. In regards to the beginning, where you normally transfer into the teacher's body, and this time you've been able to transfer into your own spiritual body, and then connect with the light of the teacher, and then find it overwhelming. That's one sign of progression. Whereas it's still the case that you are traveling with the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but being carried by the light of the teacher. But you have started to develop spiritually, but you can now at least travel in your own spiritual body. They're still very heavily, because of your good intentions and reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you're still being heavily carried, just like we all are, from the teacher's light, which is the safest way to do things and keep in their presence. And as you carry on with the experience, the teachings, and following the teachers, giving you the example to keep in the presence, keep in the footsteps, and keep in the protection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and how to build yourself in the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by following the example of your teacher's teaching and your teacher share the bag, physically and spiritually. So there's certain things that you have to try through the path to sacrifice, like things of the body, mind and heart, because the path is, all of it is sacrificing the harmful, and then keeping to the good, sacrificing certain sins of the body and mind in particular. Now, in regards to the dark hour, this is more for all of us. So, and again, remember, this guidance is for everybody. Sometimes we become heedless, and there's a time when there's nobody around, maybe in the middle of the night. These times we have smartphones, we have laptops, we have things that can very easily bring us into sin, visually, audibly, social media wise, or just by the browser, etc. And that can then make us heedless. So just reminding you, it's not reminding you, reminding me, reminding all of us, when you're doing those sins and you think nobody is watching you, know death could come to you, and this would not be good time for death to come. Death can come anytime. It can come in the middle of the night when you think you're alone, nobody else is watching you, seeing you. And if you're engrossed in certain sins and death comes, that's a very bad state of affairs for all of us. Now, they also give you a remedy, give all of us a remedy in that sense, is particularly the people of the path of Tareeqah Muhammadiyah. We have this added blessing of being able to experience and come, or just even on the thought level, in the presence of your teacher, which then automatically brings you into the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Give you an example like this. There's certain things or sins or things we wouldn't do if a mother or father were present in the room. You just wouldn't do it out of respect, because you know they're watching you, they're seeing you. So you wouldn't go to a certain channel, you wouldn't turn that thing on the big screen and watch something or talk to somebody inappropriately, for example. Just giving examples. Whereas particularly when you're in the middle of the night, or when you're alone, or like the dark hour, meaning when you're alone, if you bring this presence, Allah is with me, seeing me, hearing. The easiest way, because you're the spiritual side of things, you're now experiencing, and you have this access, you have this connection, which is a beautiful motivation that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of course loves you. Your teacher, Shaykh Muhammad loves you, is pleased with you, and wants hair for you, wants benefit for you. You come in their presence, and that in itself will help you to overcome, help all of us to overcome certain desires of sin. Because it'd be like, as you develop this spiritual side, it'd be like your parents or somebody is physically present with you, and it becomes that shield against certain sins. So the more you practice this, and the more we, you, everybody listening can become that 24/7 presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through the teacher, Shaykh Muhammad, even if the time of death comes and your spirit's taken, it'll be in a good way. And that's something, very powerful reminder, that death can come to any one of us at any time. We certainly don't want that coming while we engross in a certain sin. Just imagine meeting Allah. Imagine your spirit is taken while you're committing any heinous sins that you would not want your mother to know about. Imagine that. This is one of the beautiful things that we've been given. And thank you, brother, for reminding us all at this particular time. Now, what happens is when you start to practice this, or I start to practice this, what happens is you start to become more and more in that presence. So that lone time, that dark hour, that middle of the night, when everybody else, there's nobody around physically, there's nobody around, and you're with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you're with the mashayikhs. That whole time becomes special. That you yearn for that time. Everybody else is sleeping and you're thinking or working. Or it doesn't have to be the middle, it could be any time nobody else is around. Your time is time with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is focused time with the mashayikhs, focused time with your teachers. So it becomes very difficult to even go down the line of sin. But we are human beings. We will go up, we will go down. But the key thing for us is never to give up. So giving up is not the way of a Muslim. Yet giving up, losing hope is not the way of a Muslim. You will go up and down. This is why the likes of Brother Tasif and Brother Zat are encouraging us all the time to come to these majlis of the zikr, remembrance, this special connection that we have to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through the spiritual world, through our teacher Shaykh Muhammad, using that as a tool to survive through this time of
Apologies, I think Ustaz Sajid is having some connection issues. Oh, you're back, mashallah.
Yeah, I lost connection through my mobile for some reason. Maybe I was talking too much. That's a sign to pass over to Ustad Tasif, maybe, inshallah. So just come back onto the laptop, inshallah. Maybe we're getting close to Maghrib as well. And I'll thank everybody for sharing, particularly the last brother as well, the Hamid Raza. I'll pass over now to our beloved Ustad Tasif, inshallah.
MashaAllah. So that was a very beautiful message, really, to conclude our gathering. Inshallah is now entering Maghrib time, so we will bring the gathering to a close. First and foremost, thanking each and every one of you for attending and blessing us with your presence and making this gathering a blessed one. And of course to our blessed Ustads and all those in the background, our sisters and brothers that are really supporting and ensuring that this gathering takes place every week. Jazakumullah, ahsanul jaza, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you. and bless you in the blessed month of Dhul Qa'dah, and also allow us to see Dhul Hijjah. We end with the prophetic dua. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika. نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليه وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.